Close to this to move the slides, or do you want to move slides for me? I'll just do. I got. Okay. Thank you everyone for coming to the meeting. This is pretty exciting stuff. It's not too often you get to form a new group and get this much early interest. So I appreciate you taking time out today. So, as Tony sort of brought to the forefront a minute ago, the inspiration for this group really kind of started with the pandemic. I'm an ornithology professor over at Southeastern, and I routinely get lots of requests from information from citizens about birds. And I get emails and phone calls and weird cell phone pics of little blurry blobs, and they're like, what is this? I'm like, I don't know. But we saw people were going into isolation, all over the country, all over the world, and in our community. And that led to this big expansion of curiosity about birds. People were paying attention to their backyards, and they were going out to parks and refuges. And so there was just this large amount of information, and people are seeing these amazing birds. Here's some painted buntings at somebody's seed feeder there, 2 males and a female, and robins taking baths in their backyard, and winter visitors like these little pine siskins come down from the boreal forests of Canada, and people are like, I've got some weird little sparrow. I'm like, well, it just flew in from Canada for the winter. It's this little finch, actually. So lots of questions, lots of curiosity out there. The ever popular hummingbirds, there were probably more hummingbird feeders up this last year than the last 10 years combined. I mean, they were selling out of them in stores, and all this sort. There was like a run on sugar and bird seed. So some of you may already do this. People wanted to get out and do something that was safer, and going out bird watching, in nature is probably one of the safer things you can do. So people were going out and looking at birds and trying to find those opportunities. Birds and birding has expanded lots of different communities. We've seen lots of different people in lots of different environments. There's birding groups in the middle of Central Park in New York City. It's really egalitarian. Everybody can enjoy it, and everybody can participate in it at different levels. The advent of these cameras, now you've got all these digital cameras out there. People are taking incredible professional level photographs that 15 years ago was unthinkable. And not just fancy cameras, but also just your cell phone. Here's somebody put one on a hummingbird feeder. It's down in the tropics. It's not in Durant. So they can basically digiscope right there on a hummingbird feeder. And they put all this stuff up onto social media and create all this interest. So this massive proliferation of images and videos going out on social media. Who doesn't like bluebirds, right? So they had a tough winter with the ice storm. So I started feeling all these questions. What species is this? Where can I go see these birds I'm seeing people posting on the internet? If I put up feeders, what kind of seed should I put out? People noticed that some of the birds had diseases like conjunctivitis and wanted more information, that kind of thing. Nest boxes. How do you deal with problems? Outdoor cats kill millions of birds every year. What about window kills? Birds are kind of smart, but they still somehow fly into a, window. So there's lots of issues, and of course the little tree dragon squirrels that terrorize bird feeders routinely. And of course the ultimate question becomes then, how can they help with conservation? So the genesis of the group, again, I give you Tony Goza. He said, there's never been more interest in this. And, if we're going to start an Audubon chapter, now's really the time. And we've got local interest. So, he kind of put that idea out there, and I was like, well, we can give it a try. So we look at the synergy of public interest in birds and conservation, and we also have people willing to start forming, a board and being officers and serving. And you've got to have those volunteers, and we're incredibly appreciative of people that volunteer their time. Everybody's time is valuable. And thus a chapter was born. So technically, we are a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We're affiliated with National Audubon. So we're officially recognized as a chapter. Our paperwork got done in early June. So we're on their national website. We're all synced up with them. And so we're not just some rogue people hijacking their logo or anything. We needed a name, and Dr. Charles Brown, do not call him Charlie, he's not keen on it. He's the ornithologist, he's famous, he's an absolute legend in ornithology up at the University of Tulsa, but he grew up in the Sherman area. And so he was like, why not just Texoma? It's that nice kind of encompassing regional straddling of the river, and felt really inclusive. So we jumped on that name, and I think it's a nice fit. We're also doing something a little unusual. Most Audubon societies revolve around a specific city: Oklahoma City Audubon, Tulsa Audubon, Dallas Audubon. We're kind of doing a regional thing. It's a little off the beaten path, but it's also provides lots of neat opportunities. We can serve a lot of different communities, not just one. So what are our goals? That's a lot of people, the first question they ask is, so what are you guys about? Well, birds and conservation are certainly the two touchstones. And so educating the public, so there could be public workshops, things like that. Working with the schools and teachers. We've got a couple teachers. I see Rachel back there. Where are you teaching? Culver, yeah, teaching high school science, things like that. Work with teachers who I hope are willing and exciting partners about it. And then through the different forms of media that are out there to educate people, even festivals. We're going to have field activities. Field trips are, of course, very popular. You get out there with experts and learn about the birds and the habitat and the management and so forth. So we're going to have field trips that focus on these elements. And then workshops. There's a lot of interest out there in photography, videography at different levels, and so we're planning to have those coming up to help people improve their skills and ability, as well as conservation. It is ornithological. It's an Audubon society, so whenever we can support efforts to do research on either birds or conservation, and with a specific emphasis within our area. And again, supporting amateur field naturalists. That could be Boy Scout projects, that could be school projects, that could be interested citizens. And of course, we'll support citizen science projects. The Audubon Society for over 100 years has had the Christmas bird counts, which we have a couple locally at Tishomingo and Hagerman. Breeding Bird Atlas, Winter Bird Atlas, and an internet platform called eBird. We can help people with all of those to contribute. Conservation, this is kind of where the tires meet the road. I can, sit in front of a classroom and talk all day long, but at some point you got to go out and do stuff to improve the situation that's out there. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the photos up here. If you go up just about anywhere out here, there's litter, trash all over the place, a lot of which is very harmful to wildlife, not just birds. And it's, I'll say, somewhere between frustration and anger when I see this kind of thing when I'm out in the field. Here you have a great blue heron. If you can tell, it's got the fishing line wrapped around in a sinker where it's completely wrapped around the neck and bill, and this bird will likely die from that. So even things like going out and collecting all the old discarded fishing line can have a real practical effect of saving birds of all different types. Supporting other non-governmental organizations in our area. There's a variety of those. We'll talk about those just a little bit, as well as our state and federal wildlife agencies, conservation agencies, and of course, educate people. Collaboration. We're not trying to hijack anybody's group or anything like that. We want to work with other groups. We want to help them, and we hope they'll help us. We've reached out to a lot of groups already, some of which were super excited right away. They're like, wow, anytime they can get people to help them out and spread the message, they're on board. That could include groups like the Master Naturalist programs in Oklahoma and Texas. I believe we've got some representatives in the house tonight as well there. There are friends groups for our local national wildlife refuges at Hagerman and Tisch. So we're looking to partner with them. Groups like Delta Waterfowl, I think Gary, you're involved with that. Duxland, where we share common ground, by all means we should work together. And of course, the schools again. I mentioned the agencies. Locally, we've got Fish and Wildlife Service. The Army Corps of Engineers around Lake Texoma has a bunch of land and water there. And then our state wildlife agencies on both sides. And we have an economic impact on this as well. All these birders out there, they're generating revenue in local communities. And when they take field trips, festivals, things like this, you're going to have people coming in. Walmart ran out of bird seed. Like they couldn't fathom that they, had these huge runs, but that's because people were getting excited and involved in this kind of thing. So it's different impacts in different ways, and we'll explore that as well. In terms of diversity, everyone's welcome that shares our goals. Our doors are open to everyone. Rather than trying to come up with a long saying, I just took the one straight off the Audubon website. I think it's worth reading. The Birds Audubon pledges to protect differ in color, size, behavior, geographical preference, and countless other ways. By honoring and celebrating the equally remarkable diversity of the human species, Audubon will bring new creativity, effectiveness, and leadership to our work throughout the hemisphere. That's pretty big sounding in words, but what it means is everybody's welcome. We all share some degree of support for the major goals for Audubon, and we look forward to working with different communities to accomplish that. So who do we serve? The way National Audubon does groups is they actually assign people based on their zip code. So if you join National Audubon, like Kathy was showing, she joined, so her zip code, we get a whole kind of region of zip codes with the national memberships. So we wanted to pick Sherman, Denison, Durant as kind of like the main corridor to start, but we also had things Atoka, Tishomingo, Ardmore. We just had some people sign up from Marietta, Bonham. We've got interest from people down in Bonham, which is really exciting. And again, we've got the land ownerships, like the refuges, public fishing areas, wildlife management areas in our area. Private reserves nearby as well, like the Nature Conservancy. And we've got Lake Texoma, a major resource for wildlife and birds, among other things. So we've got all sorts of interesting things to work on around here. We have no shortage of places to help birds and other wildlife with our activities. Now, I introduced the core of the officers that we had to form a chapter with earlier. We are going to be looking to recruit officers, and that's pretty much open to anybody. We'd like to have a program coordinator. That could be for our monthly programs, getting guest speakers, things of that nature. That could also include setting up field trips or workshops. And we're going to be very collaborative. Officers are usually not going to be too much on an island. There'll be a lot of overlap with me and Tony and other officers as well. We'd like to recruit a newsletter editor. If anybody's familiar with publishing software or wants to put together a newsletter, we'll put it out a couple times a year. It's not like a weekly or monthly activity, but it's going to require a little bit of effort. I'd love to have someone who could help with fundraising. Most of our activities require some cash flow. We need to purchase materials or support things. So fundraising, if that's your specialty, let us know. I'd like to have a publicity person to put out press releases, contact the media. Did anybody see us on K10 the other day? Yeah. Was her name Kendall? So I think that was her name, was the reporter. She came by and did a quick interview with Tony and I. She misspelled ornithologist, but that's the professor me wanting to correct the spelling. But she did a great job getting just the fact that we're forming here, we're getting out there. And so, yeah. And our person tonight that was going to bring snacks had an emergency, so we didn't actually have any hospitality snacks tonight, but I promise snacks in the future. Likely healthy ones. Chips are too loud with crunchy, but everything else is fair game. So let's talk about membership. I know some of you have already joined, but for those of you that haven't, there's some questions about it. It's a little bit interesting. So we have what we're going to call chapter-only membership. You can go directly onto our website. We've got the QR code set up. There's a number of ways you can join through the website, and there's different membership levels. So there's like a $30 annual membership. If you want to become like a lifetime member, I think we go $350, $375, somewhere in there. And then there's a founding member level, which is if you want to kick in, if you've got the ability to kick in extra money to help us get started, I think we put that up at the $750 level. But that cash will help us pay for the basic equipment and stuff to get us off the ground, hosting our website and all that kind of thing. Take some startup cash. But no one's under any obligation at whatever level you're most comfortable. And we do have student memberships. And I absolutely love the fact there are people who've already dedicated some of their donation to pay for student memberships. That if we have students approach us, we can cover their membership fees. So they'll get the benefits of membership but not have to pay for it. So that's the chapter level. There's also the national level. So you can join locally only if you want to. We encourage people to join both if possible. That way, it creates new members for National Audubon. You get a really cool magazine. There's other benefits of joining National Audubon, and your contribution goes to help larger scale conservation of birds. And if you join at the National, they'll also sync your information back to us anyway, because you'll still show up by zip code in our area. So if you can do both, please, that would be wonderful. If you can't, if you can do one or the other, that's fine. Also, National lets you decide what you're going to contribute. They don't have set levels per se. You can basically create your own sort of donation plan, so at any level possible. So of course I'm going to wink and nudge people towards both because also Tony was going to remind me of this, I'm sure. In the first year that you join, National Audubon, they kick all of that membership money back to us. So your donation actually in the first year loops immediately back into our group. So I think that's a real nice attraction there. The other thing we've done is our first year of membership will run all the way through December 31st of next year. So that'll, if you're doing a founding member type of membership, we'll kind of, why charge people for half a year? That seems a little tacky. So we're like, we'll give them the year and a half. All right, does anybody have any questions? Yeah, Sharon.
Is there a place on the website to join the national?
No, okay, so the way you can do the national membership is we have a link, like a hyperlink, that we can provide you, and it will take you directly to the donation page for national, and it will have queued in Texoma Audubon Society as your local Audubon Society. So I can provide that directly to you. We can do that through email. I can't remember if it's actually on the website. Is that link on the website to national?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll have to check on that. But
Posted it on Facebook.
yeah, it was in Facebook. Did you join the Facebook group? Yeah, we can repost that periodically. So yeah, and the benefits of membership. One, at a certain point, we're going to make this more exclusive, meaning the meetings will be exclusive to members, although of course we welcome guests. But there's a little bit of a perk to the membership benefit that way. But for the most part, you're donating into a group that will do activities. It's more of a charitable view in my view. So when you donate money in, some of the activities that we're going to do would include, let's say we're going to buy binoculars for a junior high classroom and some bird books for a teacher to do a unit on birds. That's just kind of a cash-driven thing. Field trips are pretty much free. Like we can, that's just a travel cost for people. But some of these things are going to require some, if we're collecting up, I don't know, the fishing line idea or whatever, getting collection, these devices for that. Those are going to be some of the money you're going to be paying into that would benefit that. But most of the benefit for you will be educational and just showing that you're willing to help out the Audubon chapter do those activities. Beautification projects. Yeah, that's another one for sure.
What are some of the field trips that you've got planned?
Okay, so yeah, we're going to try to do kind of what I would call seasonal field trips. So like let's say this winter we might have one that's more focused on waterfowl and bald eagles, things that are going to be more common in the winter, versus maybe like spring migration field trips where all these migrant birds are coming up for the nesting season. So we can do different levels of it too. We might have some that are more kind of beginner oriented for people who are just getting into it, where people have a little bit more of an experience level with it. We might do something a little more advanced. But it's kind of open. We can kind of create field trips around what people are interested in, which is part of this meeting tonight as well, which is having an open discussion about what you guys want from the chapter. But there will be different types of field trips for sure. We'll probably go to Hagerman, we'll go to Tishomingo, we might go to Lake Durant, we might go to, pretty much anywhere we can find that's got space. Certainly Lake Texoma has lots of opportunities to do that. Others might just be like, Tony and I, we often just go over to Carl Albert Park where there's the walking track and you got a little stream there. There's a wonderful variety of birds in that park. So, we don't have to drive 30, 40 minutes away to have a field trip. We can have them right in town or right in the middle of Sherman, things like that. So, and we're going to make a highly concerted effort to move this around because we have kind of more of a regional approach. So we're going to be having monthly meetings. First, it's probably going to be September. We're going to get kind of this kind of thing live. Then we'll have meetings through probably April or May. And then most Audubon chapters have kind of a summer off approach as far as the monthly meetings go. So we might have summer activities, but it wouldn't necessarily be like an evening meeting with a speaker. It might be just a field trip on a Saturday or something along those lines. Yeah, Mike.
So I'm officially an Audubon member and all this stuff now, and I feel like I need to buy the right bird book, so I know how to identify birds. There's a lot of different options.
Yes, sir. Is there a soapbox here where I can step up onto it? I carry one wherever I go. I have two answers. The one I actually have my students get that I actually prefer is what's called the National Geographic Field Guide to Birds by John Dunn. It has illustrations, and they're actually pretty darn good. There's lots of descriptive, you can read through and also look for information. The other classic is David Sibley's Field Guide. It's kind of more advanced. As you get deeper into it, he's got more things in it. But I actually prefer Dunn's artwork. I think it's more approachable to people who are starting out or kind of mid-range. And it's got good range maps that are easy to read and things like that. So those are the two I recommend. Which field guide for birds should be bought? Yeah.
There's also Audubon has an app.
Yes.
I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. I was just about to get the apps too. Yeah, Audubon's got an app. The Sibley app is actually quite good. And the benefit of the app is not just be able to look at it in the field, but it also has the songs on it. So a lot of times you can just, if you're hearing the bird, you can, I think it's a summer tanager, you can play it real quick and find out, rather than hauling around like, cassette tape deck from the 70s, the size of a van to try to hear all this stuff. It's all right there on your phone now. It's great. It's a good quick reference. But for at home, those books are pretty handy. There's other software like the Merlin app. It'll help you actually identify if you can get a picture of the bird, or now they've got one for sound as well. It's an algorithm that's getting better. It is certainly not perfect, not that humans are either, but yeah, if you start in that range, you'll be just fine. The original is actually the Peterson Field Guide, and there you go. There you go, right there, yeah. Yeah. It's in the library. Randy talked to me once. He said, he really enjoys the songs and the sounds and stuff. People are going to approach these from different angles, and maybe for some people it's backyard birds. Other people it might be bald eagles and peregrine falcons. Other people it's ducks or tanagers and warblers. So they're all wonderful entry points. Yes, yeah, definitely. And we'll call it an unofficial suggestion. But yeah, there's so many different bird books out there, and a lot of them are really good. I'm a bit retro I'm not a big fan of the ones that have photographs. The photographs have gotten a lot better, but sometimes the photographs can be a little misleading. The illustrations show you kind of like the idealized, like here's what you should be looking for. Photographs, you can't always see all the things you need. But again, they have gotten a lot better. So if you like the photo ones, it's still okay. One thing we can do that I've seen, I know like Prairie and Timbers Audubon does this before each of their meetings. They have a little 20 to 30 minute bird ID little workshop. So they'll say, let's do buntings and grosbeaks next month. And you get there ahead of time, and they'll have somebody say, here's the species that are found around us. Here's what they look like, or have photos or specimens. Maybe they'll play the songs and just have like a little, quick workshop. And I think that's a really popular thing for a lot of people, especially if they haven't gone through, formal training of how to do bird stuff. So, let me throw this question out there. What do you guys have for knowledge? Are there things that you would like to see us do in terms of activities that we haven't mentioned yet, or just want to reinforce things you've heard and say, yeah, that's something I'm interested in? Or just crickets? I'm sorry. Yeah, that. Well, I like the slow walk with binoculars idea. That's actually the best way to do it. I call it an isolation principle. You learn the one bird that you're seeing, you got that one down, and you just kind of bank those and you just keep adding on. And then just season by season, you're going to see that turnover. Field journals are excellent. Some people do it with their cell phone. They take a picture of everything, but when you write things down or type them in, it really does help. Some people keep a life list or a checklist for each walk. At the end of each walk, you say, I remember I had these species, or you take like a little pad with you. There's lots of ways to do that. But yeah, those field notebooks, and other people sketch in them. Like they'll sketch what the bird looked like, and that helps you visually remember it the next time you see it. So there's lots of little tips and hacks there. Have you tried the little field journal thing yet?
I didn't stick with it, but
Yeah.
I just need to get better because, I've got usually
What you need is a Sherpa to carry all your stuff for you, you know. Other feedback, we want, yeah.
I will tell you that I had a couple people tell me that they would be more interested in coming to meetings if there were some like pre-workshops like you mentioned.
Okay.
You know, because there's just so many people who don't know anything. And so
Yeah, they're starting blank slate kind of.
really love some instruction.
Yeah, and a lot of times we also get questions, things like, you know, what binoculars should I get? Or when someone says, what camera should I get? I point to Tony and let him, he's really into the whole camera thing. He knows a lot about this, the setups. But yeah, we could do, you know, like I said, kind of intro level beginner stuff, and then maybe, you know, a little bit more advanced at other times. But I want it to be organic in the sense that, you know, if people have a strong interest in something, I definitely want to, you know, put that on our upcoming agenda. And we are starting, the next phase now is to start planning these monthly meetings, which again will probably be on an evening like this. We may move it around occasionally just to see what, you know, people may not always be able to meet at the same times. You know, maybe I'll give a talk on, you know, backyard birds and, you know, I was made a talk for a pollinator festival, you know, about how hummingbirds are pollinators. So I did this whole presentation on that, and, you know, everybody likes hummingbirds, I think, right? So that might be one evening, you know, we spend 45 minutes, hour talking about hummingbirds as pollinators and so forth. And then the next one might be, you know, a photo workshop. Yeah. Gee.
Does Oklahoma have a, like a spatial and temporal occurrence book record?
Yes. Yeah, there's a couple things. The State Ornithological Society has the date guide, which lists all the species when they occur by a range of months for all species. That's, you can get the,
Not just breeding birds?
yeah, it's year-round. Yeah, so see any bird, you can get it kind of nicely narrows it down. So that's specific to Oklahoma. OS also has an official checklist and a field checklist of the species you're most likely or possible for our area. That's okbirds.org is their website. And certainly encourage you to join that one if you're really into the bird thing. They could use the help. The other platform that people use that's very real time is eBird. I think you're probably well aware of eBird. If you're not, it's Cornell University has a website. It's really a citizen science project where anybody that submits their bird records, you could go out in your backyard, submit 4 blue jays, 3 chickadees, and a hummingbird. You upload it into you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your computer. It's actually pretty easy to get set up. Or if you go out and do a whole day field trip at Hagerman, you know, you might have 70, 80 species, and you can count the numbers. You can even split it up, males, females, all that kind of stuff. They'll collect all that data, and it just goes into this enormous global database. And you can then search that database for, you know, recent sightings in your area. You can zoom in on Oklahoma or Texas, you know, very fine scales. It's an incredible tool just by the sheer volume of the data that comes in.
Or you may find a purple finch in the middle of June.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes people find something that you wouldn't expect to find somewhere, and then you have to document it, which Tony got a picture of. But that's a very powerful database, and it's a really interactive tool. I use it all the time. And it makes a contribution to science, which is nice too. You know, I guess maybe it's kind of sneaky, but you know, if you have to pay people to collect data, it turns out human beings are expensive to pay and take care of. Who knew, right? And to get that kind of data, you have to spend a fortune. But if you get people to volunteer their data in, you know, it's basically free data for, I guess their computer systems are probably cost them a fortune at Cornell to maintain all that. But still, it's a way to, you know, anybody can make a contribution. A lot of times people think they have to be part of a, you know, you have to be a PhD or something to do science. You really don't have to. You can still make really valuable contributions. And certainly in field trips we'd upload to eBird afterwards. Is anybody else on eBird or has used it? Just anybody? Oh wow, like almost a third of the room, yeah. Awesome. I'm a little bit old school. I haven't done it on my phone. I know that's where everybody's probably doing everything now, but I still go home and I'd sit down and think about it as I do it and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Upload a picture too. So. I'm guessing most of you have been on the Facebook site already, or if you haven't, check it out. We're hoping to keep kind of content starting to roll out now that we're official. We've had people posting bird pictures and asking questions. I think we'll start pushing some content on there about our upcoming events or recaps or educational information, that kind of thing. I'm also going to make a plea. If you know anyone else that shares your interest in this, by all means, let them know. That the one of the ways we're going to grow membership is the word of mouth. It's still the best. And so if you know people, say, hey, look, if you'd like to join, and they can be from anywhere to join our local chapter. I shamed my parents into joining the other day. Didn't take too much twisting because they were super excited about, supporting the bird thing. So, we've had people joining from other parts of Oklahoma that aren't even in our area, just because they wanted to show that support. So if you know people, let them know. It's kind of a team thing. And I know we're meeting in Durant for this first meeting, but we're still going to be moving this around. And when we do, we'd like to make inroads into each of these communities and find people that share common interest with us. Other questions, comments, thoughts? Yeah. The board meetings? We're still figuring that out. There's no really super specific requirement how often. I have a soapbox bias on this. I don't like frequent board meetings. A lot of times they just turn into meetings just for meetings' sake. And it kind of, every couple months I think is going to be realistic, maybe quarterly. Now the board might have, quick Zoom meetings or something where, if we just need to vote on something that comes up, that's actually a great tool that, I've been on other groups where you have to drive clear across the state to go to a meeting. And even our region here, we've got people down in Sherman, somebody's going to have to be driving somewhere for each of these meetings. So sometimes we're just going to do them on Zoom. So yeah, that's, yeah, Mike. Tony, would you like to address on shirt sales tonight? Could you talk to them about that, please?
So we have a variety of different types of shirts in the back. Keep in mind, we do have some founding members. If you're a founding member and you haven't gotten your shirt, please don't forget, go back there and pick the ones that you want. Same thing with the lifetime members. Otherwise, on our website, we haven't put up a lot of the items that we have. We're still trying to figure out what exactly we want to have on the store. But as of right now, the only shirts that we have are the tactical, which I absolutely love these. I hope you guys share the same sentiment. Really convenient for me being a photographer, because when I put my lens, I can just, instead of saying, hey, can you hold my glasses? So that gets to be a pain in the butt. But anyway, but she's very good at holding my glasses sometimes. Like, say, honey, I'm looking at my own bird. And but anyway, but we have a variety of different shirts up there. We've got the tacticals. On the website, they will range from anywhere from $42.50 to $50. If you're a big guy like myself, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. When we do the meetings, when we have these in-person meetings, the ones that are back there right now, the tactical shirts, are $40 and $45 for the biggest size. Now, we do have some other ones that are $25 back there as well, which are not on the website. And we do have a few women's cut back there. Obviously, I'm not a woman. I want to get some feedback on what women would like to see in a particular women's cut type shirt. But as of right now, this is what we've got. But the shirts are nice, and they, I didn't want a poorly made shirt. It's hard enough for me to find a good shirt to begin with, right? So when I find one, it's like, that's what I want. And my wife can attest to that, because she plays hell trying to get me to buy clothes. So, but when I find something, I'm gonna make sure I get it. On the website for the members, your annual membership, if you use the code MEMBER10, you get a 10% discount on any hard good, soft good, whatever that we offer on the store. On the lifetime members and the founding members, that's a 20% discount. You'll use the code MEMBER20 on that. Right now I've got it set up as somewhat of like an honor system. I mean, obviously the orders will come through. It lets me know when they do come through. but so far, it's gone very smooth. Like I said, so if you're a member, utilize that. Obviously, when we're at these events, they're going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than what they are on the website. But it does bring our costs down from shipping them out and everything else. I also want to address what I'm kind of giddy about are the lapel pins. We haven't gotten them yet. We're still waiting for them. Should have them hopefully in a couple of weeks now. But we've made some delightful lapel pins. And well, yeah, whatever. We're family, right? So, and honestly, I got the idea because my wife is a Rotarian, and Jim and Mike Davis, all Rotarians, and I'm always like looking at her lapel pins. I'm like, we need that. So, design one for, just standard, member lapel. They are 3/4 inch round. We did one for lifetime members, and on the founding members, add a little bit of glitter. It's a little snazz on it. So they're a nicer pen. Magnetic back on the founding and whatnot. And then just little things like that. It's, I don't know. They're nice to see. I appreciate the Rotarian pens and and seeing them being worn on. And I've had some people ask about if we were going to do stuff like that. So I figured it was a good opportunity to accommodate that. Is there anything else that anybody else would like to see us have or even do? Like Doug was saying, we have a huge area to cover. And really want to, my biggest thing is, it's not even my biggest thing. It's one of my things is education, working with kids. Get them excited, kind of share the stoke, if you will, the passion. I've had so much fun photographing birds and just watching them. If they force me, I'm a local business owner. I do audio, own Sound Creations here in Durant, or Meade now. But I've been in this area for several years. And owning a business is pretty stressful at times, a lot of times. This has really kind of forced me to slow down and just look at what's around me, and that's been really therapeutic, right? These are things that I want to be able to share with other people. I want to get kids involved, have them start at, learn at a young age, get them excited, Also want to do things, beautification projects in the community. Maybe do bird-friendly bushes, plants, There's a lot of things, a lot of activities that we can do. A lot of organizations that we can, join with. Right here in our local communities. So once again, I ask, if anybody, this is your club, this is your group. If you have ideas, things that you would like to see, like, hey, what about planning something here, or doing something with this school, or Boys and Girls Club?
Scouts.
Scouts.
I think we've done bird study merit badge with some of the scouts out there.
Does anybody have anything that they would like to see, or they would like to do? This is like an open forum. This is, I'm sure that there's a lot of ideas. We would absolutely love to hear them, because it's not, like I said, this is everybody's group, and so we do welcome ideas and, opportunities to make a difference in our communities.
I think learning about the photography, like even what kind of camera, because I am clueless. I showed you a couple of pictures today, that's as good as I can do.
Well, you can't complain. They were whistling ducks. Black belt, How can you go wrong? It's like, I've never seen a bad painted bunny photo, right?
I've taken a few bad pictures. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well.
But if we could, just maybe have a workshop on cameras or.
So that is something that we'll definitely be doing, is doing workshops, photography, videography, and I enjoy it, and I'm sure that there's some other photographers are there any other photographers here with us?
That can
Yeah?
include
Okay.
your iPhone, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so just out of curiosity, like, how did you hear about us? Doug? Okay. Fair enough, that's fine.
I'm one of his grad students.
Okay, all right, well, good deal.
It's been a couple years.
Well, it's always good.
Or, yeah.
Former, yeah.
You know, Michelle teaches at Murray State College over in Tisch, and that's kind of partnerships though that we're looking to form and spread around that we're here.
Yep.
By the way, I saw Brian Clark over there going, we were asking about camera stuff, but binocular workshop also.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of binoculars that, I'm sure
Yep.
there'll be some interest in that as well.
Yeah, no, there's so many things that we can do. And another thing, just so you know, coming from a skateboard background as well, I like to do things, I like to use people's talents, that are involved. So if you have a talent, like, he knows I'm gonna be hitting him up at some point, some of his art, man, is just incredible.
It's amazing.
But utilize what we have internally for the group, and I know that everybody has got some talent, something that they love and enjoy, and it might be able to be a benefit, for the group if it's something that you want to share, and I don't know what I contribute other than photography, but
I'm going to embarrass Tony, but
Uh-oh.
Tony has done an enormous amount of work to get this group started. I don't even want to list it all out, but all the behind-the-scenes stuff, Tony has really been doing a lot of the hard work to get this thing going. But he's right, though. It's a family-type atmosphere, and I'm just going to reiterate what he said. If you ever have questions, ideas, whatever, just tell us. We want to be responsive as quickly as possible to what people are interested in. And there's lots of different entry points, which is another thing that I didn't mention earlier, but Tony raised. I come at it foremost as kind of a science guy, but art. Working. Kids like art classes can do bird art, or there could be something with music. There's lots, or poetry, or there's lots of different ways that people can interact with a group like this, and we're open to all those ideas. We're going to kind of be a little bit of everything to everybody, I think, is what it's ultimately going to turn out to be, and that's a good thing.
So does anybody have any questions and comments? Anything? Yes, sir?
On a typical meeting, what would happen? Just a summary.
Well, these first few meetings are more of an introduction on who we are, what we're wanting to do. As far as a structured meeting, I'll let Doug go through that with you.
Yeah, I mean, normally we would, I like the idea of having maybe like a little short workshop as kind of like the first thing, and then start the official meeting. Go through any major chapter business. If we have, any bigger meeting, fundraiser, something coming up, make announcements. I prefer to have a program featured each time, like a guest speaker, or, a workshop that would last, like an hour or so. That's the main focus of having the monthly type meetings. So they're not going to be real heavy on logistics and bureaucracy, but all of our board meetings, I think, are going to be open and transparent for people as well. Some groups have things like, maybe they have like a recent bird sightings of the group. Has anybody seen anything interesting the last week? And, Brian's like, I've got nesting Mississippi kites in my backyard or something. People kind of just talk shop. That sometimes is part of it as well. Upcoming events, things like that we would be discussing if we're going to participate in something. So there's a little bit of flexibility there, but that's the gist of it. Does that answer what your question?
I would know personally, I want to see something educational, like tonight, if you want to listen in, we're going to talk about, hey, what kind of sparrow am I seeing in the winter?
Yep.
And then some other stuff, or we have an upcoming, the local river is filled to the trash, we're going to go clean up some trash.
Yeah, it'll be definitely like that. And education is going to be a huge component of these meetings, for sure.
Like I said, and interrupt, the real big purpose right now of our first few meetings, as we're rotating around, is, like I said, is just to introduce, let people know who and what we are, and then find out, or try to figure out good locations, what's going to work and serve our community. We have like I said, we have a pretty big area to cover. Everywhere from like Tishomingo to Howell.
Antlers.
Yeah, I mean, Hugo, and, so we want to make it convenient and comfortable for everybody. And then once we go to our regular meetings, that'll be a members-only meeting at that point. Right now, the first few, we're going to have it open to everybody. And then once we kind of migrate into our, but once we
I don't
we
think
get-
he's going to stop with the puns, so just kind of go with it.
But yeah, I mean, absolutely. And Jerry, we miss her tonight, but she'll be taking minutes for all of our meetings as well. So I mean, we do have a secretary that's doing that, but unfortunately, she had family emergency come up.
And I forgot to mention her at the beginning. Sorry, Jerry. Yeah, Jerry Walker's our secretary, if you know Jerry.
And avid birder. Anything else? Any other questions?
So, like if Chancey's having a winter bird count or a warbler walk or something, do we just send that through you, or?
Sure. Yeah, if you're looking to get people to help out, that kind of thing. Yeah, let us know.
That's a good question, too. Another thing, on that topic, if there are events that are coming up that would be a good idea for us to partner with, family events, kid events, fun events, and like festivals or whatnot, let us know. Something for us to look into, maybe be a part.
Actually, on the educational side, things like getting a booth at Magnolia festivals, things like this, and handing out information or having displays, things like that, where we reach out to the public beyond just our little group of, that's kind of a key thing. Yeah, Margaret.
National Wildlife Refuge Week is coming up in October, and it also is going to coincide with the grand reopening of National Wildlife Refuges. I guess that will happen on October 1st. I wonder if we could do something during Refuge Week at one or other of the refuges.
Or both, on just different times.
Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
definitely have.
Hagerman's planning a lot of activities.
Right. Well, we definitely need to, get in contact, I guess, with Kathy over there at Hagerman. We have contacts with Friends of Hagerman as well. And, yep. No, that's an excellent idea. So,
Yeah, because we want to, for people to just attend it for one, but we can also help staff or provide support for the actual events. So, okay, yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Kids love art competitions and teachers love them apparently. Like they have like a bird art contest or
Man,
something.
I
We
was
just need judges. We might be hooking people up for a judge. Like, would you be a judge?
I've seen some really good art for kids at a First United animal thing that thing that they had at their bank. So maybe for photo contest, annual photo contest, art, like you said, poetry. So many things that we can incorporate.
Kids like critters, and they're less likely to get in trouble going bird watching than all the other stuff that they get into. I was an angel as a child, of course. I never got in trouble.
What about bird banding? Is that?
That's feasible at some point. Have to keep those fairly small, though. It's not a big group activity for me, but smaller group. Yeah. Some of the things we've already done, I know we're left at 7 here. For example, Margaret Avard approached me from the Hagerman side. They were trying to get designation for a dark skies categorization, and so we provide a letter of support for that. And then, we recently supported a grant through TNC for, was it riparian habitat restoration grant, where we can plug. Yes, we can provide just sort of, that type of support, these letters, it all kind of adds up. So we may able to do some small things, but really we're just this is really kind of our fledging. See, there I did it back to you. This is where we're kind of getting out of the nest now. We're going to start getting out and really becoming a functioning chapter. It's taken us, 7, 8 months of, internet stuff, getting bank accounts and P.O. boxes and technology and the paperwork stuff, all that stuff. Yeah, getting all that stuff sorted out. We've kind of checked all those boxes. Now it's time to go to the next level. So I'm glad you all came out to join us. But I think we'll go ahead and finish up. We have to tear down everything and be out of this room here in a while. But if anybody wants to hang out and ask questions, we're here. Did you say you want to do something afterwards?
Well, that could be an option if anybody wants to get together, just kind of a relaxing, eat, drink, or whatever. Maybe there's an Italian joint down the street, Roma's.
Oh, yeah.
If
You're closed on Mondays.
it's Tuesday. Yeah, yeah.
Stephanie, you're in charge of the membership files now.
But but I believe they do close at 9. So I don't know how.
Yeah, if anybody wants to go there
But,
afterwards,
But
that's cool.
just kind of network a little bit, talk. I don't know about you, but I love talking about birds. So, but before we do that, does anybody have any questions? Anything that they would like to see? 'Cause like I said, this is really important for us.
I just wonder the levels of knowledge we have in the room. I consider myself a very beginner. I love birds. Now that's just about it, and I appreciate them and I like to look at them. But I know nothing about
Not a problem.
counting them or
Not a problem.
identifying. I know some basic ones. But you're talking about somebody who needs a lot of information to be a contributing member. But then that would bore some people because they have so much more. Are you considering?
Yes, yeah. There'll be stuff at different levels, and that basic knowledge that you already have, that's wonderful. Like there's no expectation to try to convert everybody to go out and do surveys when it's -10, this is just approachable at different levels for different people. And some of it's just enjoyment and just learning and absorbing information. That's also a wonderful thing too. So we're gonna do those.
It could be just as easy as backyard birding.
Yeah, Brian?
That's what I was wondering. I mean, sometimes if you create your backyard system, you might attract something unique to your backyard that you might not know, but you post a picture or something, and you'll literally have people flocking to your backyard to see that particular bird.
I've been able to identify over 50
It's gonna
different
get worse
species of
before it gets
birds in my
better.
backyard.
See, I like your idea of planting something friendly to birds, but I don't know what that would be. So and I replace plants every year because that's what happens.
Do you know some? I know people in this room that could help.
So, yeah, I think starting there where if we create our own habitats that would be bird friendly.
Yep.
But I think this is just the teacher in me coming out. I think with the different levels, that's what the more advanced individuals are here for. We're here to help you learn. It's not all about you're in an individual group. We all want to learn together because even the advanced ones still have things to learn. So it's not learning from the beginner to the intermediate to the pro. We all have things to contribute and we all have things to learn.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
everyone's welcome.
Yeah,
That's all summarize that. Yeah.
Look, I am the only non-educator in this group. So that until a few years ago, bird, oh look, shiny thing, but
Grackle.
people like with Doug and I've learned a lot from them, and it's been a lot of fun, and that's the key, right? We want this to be fun. We want this to be a learning experience, and it's doable. It's very doable.
I've stolen this idea from someone who used to work for me a long time ago, but at Audubon in Colorado, they do a birds and beers thing where they go on Gary Bacon was like, what? Jamie's like, we're in. Go out and bird for a morning, and at lunchtime go into Lost Street or to the Harbinger over in have a few beers and talk about birds or just hang out, whatever. Just so it's got a bird component, but it can also be kind of fun and social. wine and warblers. We can do the alliteration thing all even. But, you know, it doesn't have to be always like super scientific or super technology thing. It can be lots of different things. So I think that'd be a lot of fun. I guess I'm biasing. I kind of like that first one. But, yeah. Somehow alliteration always works. It must be in the human gene somewhere. All right, well, how about we go ahead and finish up? Just wanted to thank everybody again. We'll hang out here for a little bit, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them.